What is going on, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 14 of the Be More podcast. And this week I was fortunate enough to have been joined on the podcast by a guest who I've met twice now, and in both meetings with this guy I've literally had goosebumps the entire time. So I think you're definitely going to enjoy this podcast. Soul's journey and his story is just mind-blowing. It's completely different to anyone we've ever had on the podcast before, and yeah, if you don't take inspiration from this, then you're not human. What he's done and the way he sees things now and the path he's taken is massively inspirational, and definitely what I want the podcast to represent. Is I want this to be about just business success. I want it to be about any kind of transformation, and this guy has definitely achieved that, and he's making a real big difference now, and that's what the Be More brand and what I'm trying to represent with Be More is all about. So yeah, absolutely incredible podcast. I'm super grateful to have Soul on the podcast, and I'm also just want to say how grateful I am just to be doing this podcast in the first place. So I'm on episode 14 now, and I was just saying at the weekend when I'm at podcast 100 that already in 14 episodes this podcast has done so much for me with just having the people on the show and the content creation for me. Like, I've had so much fun doing it. I've learned so much already. So yeah, I'm super grateful for anyone who's listened and the feedback you've given me. Like, it's crazy to think that I can put out a podcast and people actually choose to fucking listen to it. But yeah, this episode is as good as any of the others, if not better, and it's just a different kind of story, but equally as inspirational as any other guest we've ever had. So yeah, exciting times, and this is shot number 14 of hopefully many, many more to come, because it's been such an enjoyable process for me. But yeah, enjoy the podcast, guys, and as always, please give us your feedback, and as always as well, tag us in your stories on Instagram or on Snapchat. Always give me your feedback as well, as like I said, it does make my day. So, and yeah, I'm selfish on what days we made, alright? But yeah, enjoy, guys, and I'll hopefully catch up with you all soon. What is going on, boys and girls? Welcome to episode 14 of the Be More podcast, and I'm honoured to be joined by our guest today. His name is Soul. How are you doing, sir?
I'm alright, good. Yeah.
Introduce yourself, mate. Who are you? And tell me
right,
who you
so
are.
I'm Soul, and thank you for allowing me to come on here on your podcast and kind of just
no problem.
talk about myself, which is quite good all the time. Everyone wants to talk about themselves, don't they?
Exactly. So we met last Friday in a coffee shop, and I wish I had my camera there filming, because it was a good conversation, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully we can, have the same now. So yeah, mate.
Cool.
So tell us about your story.
So my story. So I'm like what? I'm 45 years old. I'm living in Portsmouth. I've been currently living in Portsmouth nearly I think 7 to 8 years. And the reason I'm in Portsmouth is because I wanted to change my life. I come from a place in London, East End of London, on a council estate. You know, my life's been very colourful. You know, I was a child of institutes. So if you don't know what a child of institutes is, you know, I was in care as a kid. YP, young prisoners, then on to adult prisoners, you know what I mean, due to my criminal activity, as we would like to call it. I was just chasing the dream, the ghetto dream, as they call it. Do you know what I mean? I used to see people that were drug dealers, robbers and stuff like that on my estate, and I just aspired to be like them. Do you know what I mean? You know, and I lived that life for many years. I think the change came when I got to about 37, and I just thought, you know what? If you've not made it now, what are you doing? You know, and within all of that madness, you know, that criminal activity and harming others and whatever you want to, you know, I lost myself. You know, I lost myself in addiction. You know, I was, you know, smoking crack cocaine. You know, I was fucking, you know, just like lost. Couldn't believe that I've got to this age and like, this is how it is. You know, this is not what I, you know, signed up for, as they would say, as a kid. You know what I mean? So yeah,
But was it not what you aspired to be as well?
I aspired to. It was like misinformed information. So, you know, I look around, like I was getting all these messages that, you know, drug dealers and committing crime, you get respect, you know, you get all this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like the shortcut of life. You know, I used to see people driving up in nice cars, they'd have women, you know, they'd be respected, you know. And when you come from a council estate where, if you're getting all these mixed messages, you know what I mean? It's like, that's it's my role models. You know, not everyone's, because, you know, I've got two brothers that never did that stuff. But for me, something, you know, said to me, I wanted to be like these guys, do you know what I mean? And that's what I tried to do for many, many years. And I was. at a point. You know what I mean? I got to the point of where, you know, I was, you know, doing all right, making
And when
good
you were
money.
there, how did you feel?
How did I feel when I got there? I wanted more.
You wanted
More and more. And what happens is when you kind of become a certain person, or you become quite respected in your area, you know, and you've got a bit of money and you're doing what you're doing, then what happens? You get other problems. You know, you got other people that want to take your money. You got you got the old bill on your back constantly, and it was constantly living in fear. You know, not trusting nobody. You know, not even girlfriends. You know what I mean? Not even telling girlfriends where my money went or anything like that. It was just all about you can't trust nobody.
Do you think it was the fear that fueled your addictions? Or do you think fueled the addiction?
What fueled my addiction? I think it might have been, yeah, I think it's fear. I think it was fear.
Was that the mask for you?
Oh, definitely. 100%. 100%. 100%. Yeah, because, you know, like with the lifestyle, the drugs came with it. It was party drugs at first. Originally, it was all party, it was all fun and everything, you know, and it was great times. Had some great times. But then what happened? The party stopped. But soul kept on dancing.
Yeah.
You know, people got on with their lives. You know, people got on with what they was doing. Got married, had kids. You know, started. You know, whatever. But soul wanted to carry on dancing, and that's what it was. And that's where the drugs progressed. You know, from party drugs to having like sort of like dropping pills and, you know, and all that stuff, and smoking puff and whatever. It became, you know, more about, you know, being in a small little room or you know, hanging around with people that were taking, you know, the hard drugs, and, you know, and it just everything. I was just losing things constantly.
Was it every day you were just on drugs, or
most of the days? Yeah, some form of drug, definitely.
And was it to escape, or was it because you wanted to do it, or was it enjoyment?
At first, I think it was for enjoyment. It was just like it was a feeling. It was a nice feeling, and then what happened? It slowly became more. It wasn't so much of a feeling anymore. It was more like it was just like a habit, and then it just became a norm. And then when it became so normal, it's like it didn't matter what I took. It, you know, I just needed to take something, and that's where I said to you about, you know, where I kind of lost myself somewhere. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So go back from when you were obviously a child and you said you was in care. How old was you when that?
So I got taken to. What happened when I was about 11, 12 years old. You know, I was committing crime. You know, I was out. You know, I was the little kid with the older boys. You know, I mean, out committing crime, and I kept on getting arrested by the police. And what happened was, where, you know, when you're at that age, you know what I mean. It's like my mum and dad. I've got to say, they did everything they could. They did their best. You know, they were hard-working parents, and they're not. I don't come from a dysfunctional family. My parents are really hard-working, very honest. You know, my two brothers are, but for some reason, from like I said to me, for me, it, you know, that wasn't enough. You know, I didn't want to be like the normal people. I wanted to be something different, and, you know, different to me was people I see. What I, you know, had the blinkers on with. I used to see people working, going to work every morning, 9 to 5, and I think, what a bunch of idiots.
When you was 11?
11, 12, yeah.
You thought that straight away?
Straight away, because I was getting these other, like, you know, these other messages. I've seen people driving about up and down all day in nice cars and, you know, nice clothes, nice jewellery, you know what I mean, and all that stuff.
And your parents were working the 9 to 5?
My parents were working 9 to 5, and then, you know...
And did you think they were idiots?
Did I think they were idiots? I just thought to myself, do you know, why are you doing this? You know, you're working all them hours, and what have we got, really? Do you know what I mean? It was all about the materialistic stuff, it's the outside stuff, you know.
That's what drove you, was it?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
And then 11,
11 at 12, you know, I started getting arrested. Kept on getting nicked, and then, you know, the courts got involved. And when I went up in court one day, and the judge just went, you know, we're gonna take you. You know, your parents can't look after you; they can't handle you. You're constantly getting arrested, so we're gonna take you. And from then, I went into children's homes. You know, I was into insecure units, all the London children's homes I've done, and yeah, and I ain't gonna lie to you, I loved it. Because I was around other people that was like me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the sad thing about it, throughout my life, growing up from the children's homes, I've seen these kids that I kind of met, you know what I mean, in that kind of environment. We've all grown up together in the institutes. You know, I see kids that I was in the children's home when I was 12, 13, at age of 35 in jail. You know, different sentences, and you know what I mean? Some are not alive. You know, some have got addiction problems, some haven't. Some just, I suppose their addiction is crime. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting. So then you come out of that when you was 18?
Came out when I was 15 and a half, I think it was, just before my 16th, I remember. Came out, but what it done, it gave me a bit of a respect. People were like, oh, soul's coming, you know what I mean? And like, it just like stroked my ego even more.
And did you still see your parents?
I saw my parents, yeah, but I was kind of more, I was living in between my parents' house, a girlfriend's house, all over the place. I was like kind of sofa surfing in a way, sort of, do you know what I mean? I never really stayed anywhere at one place for too long. One, because I thought the old Bill were looking for me all the time.
Were they?
Sometimes I reckon, yeah, they were. But, I just kind of used to move around a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, when did the drugs come into play? When did you first go to prison?
So, like, the drugs was like, I was smoking weed from when I was about 11, 12. Do you know what I mean? It was just like normal stuff. It was puff back in the day. It was Ash, Rocky. All the kids did it. We used to go, I remember, like, at school, the first year of my school, I only lasted 6 months in my first year of my secondary school. This is just before I got taken into care. Just got expelled. It was just a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? It's the bunk of school, be around the corner. Smoker's corner would be smoking puff, not cigarettes. Do you know what I mean? Just attracted to all negative, bad stuff, man. Just couldn't get enough of it. Do you know what I mean?
When you talk about it now, how does it make you feel?
It's like I'm talking about somebody else.
Really?
But the thing about it, it's like I'm talking to somebody else, but then I see myself so many times in a day when I see people, or I've seen younger kids.
You see yourself in them where you used to be.
Today I was in the doctor's early on this morning, and I was just sitting there waiting to be seen, and there was this young girl, not even the same sex as me, but the way she was acting up and effing and blinding and demanding and just really fucking negative, aggressive, just because she didn't get what she wanted to get. And I just looked at her and I thought, that's you. That was you all them years ago. Do you know what I mean? That's exactly how I would have behaved. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's quite sad really, because I just think to myself, what was it, man? What really was it? And I'm still seeking it, searching for that kind of stuff now. Like, what was it that made me really go that way? Because I do say it's the materialistic stuff, but it had to be something else. It's got to be deeper than that.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Had to be. For you to go for that long until you were 37, and Definitely. To go through all the things you went through. When did you first go to prison?
First time I went to prison, I think it was 16. Like a young. Oh no! In between my when I was in care, I went to prison. I went to a Borstal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that recording.
So cool. Yeah. I went to a Borstal and I think I was 14. I got nicked while I was in a children's home. Sometimes because you'd be able to come home like every 4 weeks for the weekend. And then what happened? I got nicked for doing something stupid again, and I went to court and I got sentenced, and I got 3 months, and it was just before Christmas. I remember I went to a place called Hollisley Bay in Ipswich, and that was like the first time I really experienced like a prison environment. It was like a Borstal, like bed packs.
And how did it make you feel?
Oh, scared as fuck, scared. With a big, scared but with a big ego, like fronting everybody, but really behind it, scared. I remember and when I got there, when we on the way up there, it wasn't even a prison van. My social worker took me to prison in a cab. That's how mad it was. Do you know what I mean? From the courts.
And you spent 3 months there, did you?
Spent 3 months there. Came out, and I couldn't tell you exactly how many times I've been in jail. Do you know what I mean? I went Feltham, Rochester, done all the YPs, Chelmsford.
And if you could explain your experience in prison in general, how would it be?
I got to a point where my life was so normal for me to be institutionalised. I got institutionalised quite early on, and I felt comfortable.
In prison? In
prison. It was like home, from home. People talk about, you hear about people, oh yeah, it's like your second home. It was my second home. It was like my first home for a little while. Because I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew there weren't no unknown. I know this time we're going to open up the door for me to go for breakfast. If I put my name down for this, I might get a bit of PE or gym. Yeah, if I do this, I might get a little education. Just to get out of my cell. We've got association, which is free time. You come out maybe for an hour, get a shower, whatever. See loads of people that I know. Yeah, so it was like a structure where I didn't have any when I came out of loads of mad, chaotic stuff to be put into structure. It was like prison saved me many a times. Because I think about it, sometimes I think, well, oh, why didn't I, learn something when I was younger? Why didn't I change when I was younger? Because the lesson weren't learned. I wasn't taught it. It's like what it was doing, like, I don't know, my higher power, I like to call it whatever, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Something was taking me away from chaos, putting me somewhere safe. And prison was safe for me. Because my life got so chaotic. Do you know what I mean?
So you enjoyed being in prison?
I enjoyed it better than being outside sometimes, let's put it that way. Yeah. It was kind of like, I'd walk in, I'd be pissed off because of my freedom, but then I'd be going, I can breathe. And you know what it is, with prison, it's like you ain't got no responsibility.
Did the crime stop when you was in prison?
Yeah, when you couldn't, I still get up to little bits here and there, but when you're in jail, you can't really do much apart from maybe sell a bit of drugs.
And every time you come out, did you think to yourself, I'm going to get back on the straight and narrow?
Oh, definitely. I wrote the letters, you know what I mean? I wrote the letters to my daughter, I wrote letters to my mum, my friend, so I'm coming out, I'm changing, I'm going to educate, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to, do things right. And then what would happen, the closer I'd get to my EDR, which is my earliest date of release from jail, all them things, the list that I had that I wanted to do, little by little, they'd get shorter. Like, I'd be like, I could do that tomorrow, or, and then what happened, I come out in the day, and the first thing I'd want to go and do is go and meet my mates, have a drink, get smashed, do you know what I mean, and forget about all the stuff the next day, just enjoy my freedom. And then within a few months, if I'm not arrested already, I'll be back in the same place again. I was like a season ticket holder.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was the turning point for you?
Turning point for me was, I remember I was at home, I was back at my mum's, that's the only person who really had me, 37 years old, in my mum's bedroom, upstairs in my bedroom, my mum's house, which she allowed me to still have, bless her, and just feeling this overwhelming feeling of emotional pain. Just looking at my life was in my room, and it was just like degradation, you know what I mean? It was like I had drugs around me, and I didn't want to use the drugs, but I didn't know how to stop. So I was just looking around, and I remember my window was blacked out with this fucking black bin liner. You know what I mean? I didn't want sunlight to come in. I was just like this kind of. I got to an animalistic kind of place where I just didn't want to see nothing. I just in this. I like to call it a spiritual rock bottom. Do you know what I mean? I just got and I was just like in this pain. Do you know what I mean?
What drives you to get that low?
I don't think it was anything that it.
Did it feel like it was out of your control?
Definitely, 100%. Definitely, I lost all control of all. And the more I was getting addicted to drugs, the more I was using drugs. What happened? I was just getting lower and lower. It was like a cycle, and I couldn't get out of this cycle. There wasn't a way out. And what was happening? Every time I was getting deeper into it, I was losing more morals. I was doing things that I said I'd never do, stealing from people, I wouldn't, none of that stuff, never, I kind of, you know what I mean, and I started to do all that stuff, and that's when, it kind of got to a point where, what the fuck, what's going on, you know what I mean, I weren't seeing my daughter, all my mates, my good mates that I grew up with, it was like I was stay, keeping my arm's length, you can't be trusted.
So you went from being the cool guy with the cars and the lifestyle that you sort of perceived to be the goal,
and to becoming the person that I used to look at and look down on. You see them all the time. These people that are addicted to drugs, not knowing how much pain they really. Everyone's got responsibility. I take my hands up. It's me that took the drugs. No one ever asked me to take the drugs. But at the end of the day, I didn't expect it to kind of how it. Where it took me. I crossed this invisible line somewhere, from it being social and being party and being alright and having a little laugh, and it became like everything became about the drugs. In the end, it was nothing but just the drugs.
The invisible line. Crossed
that invisible line somewhere.
And a lot of people do, right?
Yeah, a lot of people do. you know, people have rock bottoms. You know, people have loads of rock bottoms. I've known loads of people that are in addiction. You know, and have kind of got recovery now. You know, but their length of addiction might not be as traumatic as mine, but it doesn't matter. But they felt exactly the same way I felt when I wanted to change. You know, like for some people, they might have gone homeless and living off the street for years. You know, and they might have got their addiction might have took them to that place. Because I didn't go homeless didn't mean the feeling where I felt at the time when I wanted to change wasn't no different to what the guy's been in who's homeless, who's lost a leg.
Yeah.
You know.
But you wanted to change several times when you left prison, so what made this time different?
Because I think it was more spiritual than it was materialistic.
Do you feel like it was your time?
Definitely. I think, you know, materialistically I lost everything. Yeah, and that never stopped. You know, I still carried on. But something broke. Something inside me said, look, you know, spiritually something said to me, look, this is not, you know, this is it.
And what was your action steps from there?
So I knew a friend that was in Portsmouth who was kind of had addiction problems, but he'd got his life together. And he always used to say to me, you know, you need to get away. You know what I mean? And even like, you know, we used to call it, like, I've heard about people going away and trying to get clean and, you know what I mean, or going to rehabs or whatever, which is brilliant for people. But, so my mate said to me, you know, like, yeah, come to Portsmouth, man. There's a big recovery community in Portsmouth. You know, and like he's a member of a 12-step program. Yeah. You know, and he talked about his meetings every night that we go to, 7:30, and that's what I did. And I came here, you know what I mean. I was living in a little hostel, just off near the university. You know, I came with one bag, you know what I mean, and just kind of stuck around. Went to these meetings, you know, met my mate, went to college, educated myself. You know what I mean? And that's the journey.
And from the day you left that bedroom, you haven't taken a drug since? No,
I'm nearly 8 years. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I don't drink. I don't smoke anything. I don't put anything in my body that changes the way I feel, apart from coffee. And even then, I've got to be careful.
Really?
I don't take no codeine tablets. I don't, you know, if I've got pain, paracetamol. I'm not saying I wouldn't if I was in a severe, you know. But I try and keep, you know, within my mind. I don't want to kind of, you know, that thing about getting off your head. I don't want that feeling, getting off my head. I'm quite happy with who I am in my head at the moment, you know.
Yeah. So talk us through the process of getting clean.
So getting clean, it was, you know, changing my life. I go to these meetings, these 12-step meetings. You know, I've got myself a person called a sponsor. He's like a kind of like a guru guide. He guides me. We do some written work and self-development stuff. We look at, you know, all this stuff. What it was, I couldn't, a lot of the time, all this stuff that was happening to me was all in my head, you know. It was happening, but I couldn't see it because it was all jumbled up in my head. I was in a lot of denial, you know. By kind of writing stuff down with this guy, how it is, it was in black and white in front of me, and I couldn't, you know. And, so I worked the 12 steps with him. These are 12 steps that we do. You know, it looks at my part. You know, I took my responsibility and how I can change, and I kind of started to believe in something bigger than me. You know, it weren't, you know, like spiritual kind of side of things. You know, I'm not a religious person. I'm not into, you know, I was born a Muslim. My parents are Muslim, but I don't believe in I'm not a religious person in that way. But I believe something. There's something here. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's it. And you know, I'll still go to meetings now, once or twice a week in the evening. I sponsor people now. I take people through the work.
Yeah.
I like to call it the work because there's a lot of there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of reading.
Do you still talk to your sponsor now?
Yeah, I still speak to my sponsor. Always going to have a sponsor.
Do you feel like he's changed your life?
Oh, definitely. He's helped me change my life, yeah. 100%. 100%. So I've got sponsors that I look after now as well, you know. It's that thing like paying it forward, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So 7 years now clean?
Yeah, nearly 8 years in 17th of July. That's my 8-year clean time birthday.
Any times within that time where you felt like you had to go back? Or
I get times, you know, there's times, it's always going to be there. You know, what usually happens, my addiction and, you know, it doesn't go to the worst. It doesn't, it's like people with food, you know, foodies, you know, people that binge eat or whatever. It's like, if I see a cream cake, yeah, and I've got this urge for this cream cake. I'm not, my head's not going to tell me if I eat that cream cake, it's not going to go take me to a place where I'm going to feel after like really ill and sick and why the, it'll go to me, it's going to taste so nice. It's not going to fast forward the tape. Like, that cream cake is going to, after I've ate it, it's going to be like, I thought it was shit, It's the same thing, like, so my addiction will go to me, like, my head will tell me, like, I'll see people in pubs outside, in beer gardens, and laughing and drinking, having really merry, and my God, wow, do you know what I mean? I miss it. But really, I never used to really go beer gardens. Do you know what I mean? Weren't my thing.
No.
But my head would lie to me and try and tell me, yeah, you could have one. But I know once I've had that one, that's the catalyst. That's the start of many more. So I just stay away from the first one.
And how do you do that?
By constantly doing what I'm doing, going to the meetings, speaking with people in recovery. Do you know what I mean? Just having an understanding of how I work, learning about myself, learning what triggers soul. Do you know what I mean?
Do you feel like you've completed it now? Do you feel like you're done?
I don't. What's
Or
happened
recovered?
is like I haven't got the desire to want to go back to criminality. My life is far better now, and addiction. It don't appeal to me. I've got to a point where I'm so happy in doing what I'm doing now, without all that stuff. I don't need. I don't. It's not appealing. I have fleeting thoughts, but that's all they are. Fleeting thoughts. They come and they go.
So in that life, you were obviously in and out of prison, taking drugs. How would you explain who you are now?
So I'm now a person that kind of goes to work, supporting person, very supportive around up to for others. All my life I've took from others. So what I try and do now is I just try and give. I'm trying to balance the books in some way. You know what I mean? And it's doing selfless things. Selfless acts. It's just giving people, helping people that can't help themselves sometimes. You know what I mean? And not wanting nothing from it. Mad. It's mad how you feel when you help someone. And
how do you feel now versus how you felt then?
I feel much. I'm so. I feel so much better within myself. But it doesn't happen just like that. I don't do this. There's certain things I do in the morning. Like we were talking about my readings. You know what I mean?
Can you talk us through that?
So every morning I wake up. When I wake up in the mornings, as before, I'd get up, I'd have a fag, and I don't do that now. What? I'll get up in the morning. I've got a couple of meditation books that I read, like daily meditations. I read them every morning. If I'm away, what I usually do is I take photos of the pages instead of carrying all the books with me. So if I'm away for a couple of days, do you know what I mean? And every day I read these meditations, and I just sit down with myself and just kind of get myself together for the morning. Like a meditation kind of thing. I'm not a mad meditator. I can't, go more than 5 minutes. But just having that moment to myself and just and being grateful, saying thank you for the new way of life. Thank you to everyone that's helped me.
So it's almost like a management process you have for yourself, for you to be.
Yeah, my mantra. Yeah, definitely.
And if
Gratitude.
And if you don't do that in the morning, what tends to happen?
So, I can regress. And the negative thinking comes back. Because that's what I really started, negative thinking, It comes back and, I can become that horrible person again. I can be that ratty person. I could be that... Listen, I'm not perfect, far from it. No, I have days when, I will not respond, I will react. Do you know what I mean? The difference is when I do that, I apologise and I kind of make it right. I try and make it right straight away. As before, I didn't have the capacity to. I wouldn't even know I'm doing wrong. I thought it was just quite normal. I know, and I feel things a lot more now. I feel things in my body. Like when I'm doing something wrong, I feel it. As before, I wouldn't feel anything.
So it's all coming from mindset, right?
Mindset, definitely. Mindset. Being in touch with yourself. That's what it's about, man. Being in touch with how you feel. Your body, your chi, whatever you want to call it.
Do you feel like it's been like a journey since when you did obviously come clean? And
oh, definitely, 100%, man. Every year I get this new sense of freedom.
With new books or new routines or new...
Just like a new sense of freedom within myself. What happened when I came in? When I got into recovery, my problem was drugs and my lifestyle, and I sort of kind of dealt with that on a daily basis. I've dealt with that side of it, but now there's a lot of stuff, a lot of trauma that I've got that I need to deal with. You know, there's a lot of stuff that, a lot of negative thinking, and there's a lot of stuff that I need to deal with, and I write about a lot of stuff. I read a lot, and I've got to keep on doing that. I've got to keep, because it's not so much about me getting somewhere like the destination and thinking that's it. That's me. I've done now.
It's a process.
It's a process, and you've got to fall in love with the process.
I think that's what people need to realise with any kind of, whether it be recovery or whether it be any kind of goal that you're working towards or whatever rut you're in. You can't just say, "Oh, I'll get to this point," because there isn't a point.
No.
It's a journey and it's a process of what you do with each of your days, I guess, to make sure that the end point or whatever destination, that wherever it will be, is controlled by you and not by someone else.
And being open. Before I was very shut down. My ears were closed. You couldn't tell me nothing. Now I'm open. Tell me. Tell me more. I want to hear.
You want to learn, yeah.
I want to learn. And that's what it's about.
You mentioned about gratitude as well.
Grateful, very grateful. They say attitude of gratitude. You know what I mean? If I kind of don't, if I can sit in, that self pity part. Like when I first came into recovery, it was like, oh, I've had a bad life, but listen, I've had the that's all right. That's finished. I can't go to that. I've dealt with that. You know what I mean? It's about being grateful. I feel grateful every day. I wake up. I feel grateful. I woke up. I'm quite healthy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got a life. I'm not looking around, keeping thinking, do I owe this person money, or does the old bill after me? My door's not getting kicked off constantly by the police. Do you know what I mean? I'm not living in that fear we talked about no more.
Do you feel like the mask is gone now completely?
There's still parts of me that's still there that needs to work on. Yeah. But majority, what you see is what you see now. This is me. You know what I mean? What it is, I'm not hiding it.
That's the important thing.
Yeah, I'm not hiding it. I'm not putting these plasters on. Do you know what I mean?
You're just being you.
Just being me, being real. And like I said, I'm not perfect, far from it. If I was, and that's the mistake on its own. No one is. I've just got to keep on going, keep walking, keep moving forward. As you would say, be more. Keep doing it. Keep going. Keep going.
So self-awareness.
100%, man. Very self-aware.
Were you before?
Even before?
Were you before?
Oh no, closed.
Did you know who you were?
Not at all. Lost.
Was it an ego? You were fueling an ego?
Oh, definitely. 100%.
So what would you say to people that live that life at the moment that you can see?
What would I tell people that are living through the life that I lived, you mean, sort of? Or
just walking around with a mask, trying to show this ego that's hiding the fact that they don't really like who they are.
Ego, for me, is something that just all it wants to do is harm you. You know what I mean? It's a killer, innit? You know what I mean? What the ego does, it tries to kind of, it wants to get you away from the real you. You know what I mean?
Why do you think there's so many egos? I
think it's because it's the society we live in.
Yeah.
The ego strives in the society we live in. Look at Instagram. I've got friends on Instagram and I've got other people I look at there, and all they do is just talk about how much money they got, how much cars they got. Rappers, the rappers of today, they're not helping. Jewelry, and when little kids see that, when people see that, what it is, we get conditioned that if we don't have this, we're not going to be happy. If I don't walk around with my chest out and thinking I'm a bad man,
do you think they're happy?
No. I'm sure, they might think they're happy, but no, I don't think they are, no. Because they're hiding. They're hiding behind it.
So for you, what is the secret, or how do people get happy?
What is the secret? I've got no idea.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? To be alive. Just to be alive.
So is it the awareness to know that you're actually alive, whereas before, because you were alive before?
But really alive.
Yeah.
Being me. Yeah, being me, not,
Do you regret any of it?
I regret some things that I say I regret some things, but then if I did, then it wouldn't be I wouldn't get to the person I am now. I've had to go through that. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things I do, throughout, recovery doesn't, like this thing here, I've got this little box here, it's called a box of moments. Every year, I get a trainer box, I cut a slit in there, I wrap it up. 1st of January, every year I do this, or 2nd of January, whatever. Throughout the year, anything that happens, I write it down, like something really, if I feel really happy about something, I write it, I date it, and I put it in there. If I feel sad about something, or I've been in pain, but a breakup or whatever, I write it, I date it, I put it in the box. Some people call it the God box, but I like to call it the moments, a box of moments. And every year, this is my 3rd year I've been doing it, and on the 2nd of January or the 1st of January, I wake up and I open the box with all these little slips, and I just look at them. And what it does for me, it reminds me how small and petite things are in my life throughout the year. What might have been really, especially if it's painful stuff, that might have really consumed me at the time. I might have been really angry, I might have been really resentful, or I might have been really hurt. And I look at it down, like in hindsight, I look at it and I look at it and I'm not getting nothing. It just kind of, it's like a cleanse as well. And there's some really happy moments as well in there, I put everything in there.
Does it make you realise, like, perspective, I guess?
Definitely, yeah. It just kind of makes me think, wow, nothing's that permanent. Like sometimes we're going for a breakup, or something's happening in your life that you're not happy with. You might not be hitting your personal bears. You might not be, looking the way you want to look. And you're feeling that, because it can consume you. If you're obsessive, you can get really obsessive around food or gym or whatever. Whatever you have, work. And sometimes it can take you to a really dark place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And what happens, I think, when I look back at little things, little notes that might have kind of really been painful or hurtful at the time, and I don't feel time's a great healer, and nothing is permanent. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's great, man. If you get a chance, do one, man, this year, man.
Where did you find it?
No, it's a trainer box wrapped up.
Like, where did you find the idea?
My old sponsor, the guy I was telling you about, another guy that's a sponsor me, told me about it. And he just said to me, it was called a God box. Quite a few people do it. I've told a few people about it. A few people are doing it now.
Yeah.
But I like to call it a box of moments, throughout the year. Just put a little slip in, write down, date it. Just a date little thing, yeah. Today I feel really happy. I've got my personal best in the gym. Or today I feel really good. So-and-so phoned me. Today I met this person.
Yeah.
I think she might be the one. Today I'm angry.
And you've met someone recently, haven't you?
I've been with somebody for nearly 7 months now. Yeah.
And do you feel like, I remember you saying when we had a coffee, you felt like you almost manifested that?
Yeah, because what happened, for a little while, I was in and out of relationships and they weren't really working, and I felt quite lonely, very lonely. Not lonely because I had girlfriends, I had partners and all that stuff, but I felt lonely myself. I was missing something. I was missing, and I used to walk down on the seafront at night time, and I used to say to the universe, "Come on, man, send it to me, man. Send me the one. You know what I mean? Send me somebody that I can connect to." And
did you have things in mind that you wanted her to be like, or was you just saying, "Send me the
well,
one"?
We've all got our preferences in what we like, and there was little things, but it's more about the connection. You know what I mean? Like me and my partner, we talk,
Yeah.
we communicate. That's the difference. As before, I'd hide a lot of stuff. Like as a male, when we got kind of, when we've got this male ego, this machism, I can't tell her, you don't, at the moment in London, it's about you don't catch feelings, you don't catch feelings from nobody, be the man, you know what I mean? But it's all rubbish, man.
Is this the first relationship you've had ever where you felt like that?
I think I had something like this, but I wasn't ready for it. I think people come into your lives and you learn lessons from people, and you might be the lesson for them. But I think I did meet somebody similar, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't open to it.
Timing.
Yeah, timing went right.
So you're a big believer in the law of attraction?
100%. Send it out there. Believe it. achieve it, and you know, you've got to believe it.
Do you feel like you attracted this person now because
100% super manifested them, man. Super attractor.
Because you were being true to who you are, rather than being the ego. Because obviously, when you was the ego, you were attracting people based on that person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas now, obviously, you're being totally you. That's why you've attracted someone who gets you, that you can talk to, that you can open up with.
100%. I remember when I used to walk down the seafront, like I said, but there was a moment once I used to jump in the sea. I love the sea. I grew up in council, you don't see River Thames. So since I've been in Portsmouth, so I jumped in the sea and I just to sit there and I used to get this moment like it's just, I don't know, I can't even explain it, and I have to say, you know, and I have to speak to the universe to say to me, look, thank you, I'm really grateful for my life. But I want to connect with someone now, send someone I can connect with. Do you know what I mean?
So if you were to say something to the viewers now, like how would you reckon, like if they're having relationship problems or if they feel like they can't find the right partner for them, what advice would you give them?
Hang in there, you know, and you know, if you're with somebody, communicate. Biggest mistake we make is we don't communicate. If you've got something on your head or in your mind, say it. Do you know what I mean? Get it out. Do you know, because what we do, we fester on stuff, you know, and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. Do you know what I mean? You hear about people having a strop, you know, like you're missing my coming, she's got a strop. Because what it is, she's not communicating what's going on.
Yeah, it's just lost in translation, isn't it?
And you know, if you're looking for somebody, you know, send it out there, man. Send it to the universe. Let the universe deal with it.
100%. So is that again, that comes back to self-awareness. Then you can actually be you.
Definitely. You know, with my girlfriend, you know, this is my partner at the moment. You know, we're kind of like, we're so honest to each other and we're so caring and kind to each other. Do you know what I mean? I have not been like that with somebody for a long time. I don't think I've ever been like that with anybody, really. Really caring, very, very considerate, very selfless.
Is this the happiest you've ever been?
Pardon?
Is this the happiest you've ever been in your life?
So far. And I'm sure it's going to get even better, definitely.
So your future now, what can you see?
My future now? What can I see?
Because you grew up in like a very negative headspace.
Yeah, my future now is just to be, you know...
Is it completely positive, what you see?
Most of it, yeah, definitely. 100%, man.
You got like a vision for where you want to go?
I've got sort of a vision, yeah. I kind of want to try and help others, definitely. That's where it's at, helping others. You know
so, like your daily tasks that you do now, is it like in line with a goal you've got set for a long term, or is it more a case of this is my management strategy, or where is your vision? Have you got like a 5-year plan?
Hopefully, well, I want to kind of do some kind of life coaching, sober coaching, you know what I mean? Some kind of stuff where, you know, I'm helping others, do you know what I mean? To get to the point where I suppose I've got to, you know.
And you're already currently doing that, aren't you, to some point? And how do you feel
I am. I'm doing it for,
it?
I'm doing that as part of giving it away, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, I'm not charged, we don't charge, because I got it given to me freely, so I'll give it away freely.
Yeah.
But then I think that's for people in addiction, but I think there's, you know, there's people out there that are not in addiction that could use that same kind of help.
Absolutely.
You know what I
this
mean?
stuff isn't just addiction. It's
Of course
every
not.
part of life is...
Definitely. And I think there's people out there that can use that, you know what I mean? We can help them.
I think every skill or every problem or addiction or whatever is translatable to anything else. So it doesn't matter whether someone is giving up drugs or if someone's giving up like a work addiction or relationship problems or even like depression. There's always a process that you can try and help someone with.
100%.
And that's where you want to go, is that you want to just give back to the people.
Definitely giving back. Paying it forward. Have you ever seen that film, Pay It Forward?
No, is it good?
It's an old film from the 90s, I think. You've got to see it, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, how it started. Paying it forward.
Do you feel proud of the person you are now versus the person you used to be?
Oh, definitely. I feel proud. I feel humbled. Because I've got to understand, you know, there's a lot of people like me that have not made it.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that may have tried to do what we're doing, you know, as in making a better life for themselves, and unfortunately they've slipped back.
How does it make you feel talking about it?
What, my recovery, or, you know, I feel
your past?
My past. Like I said, it's like I'm talking about somebody else. It feels a bit strange at times, like he's, you know, and then sometimes I think, oh wow.
And then talking about the person you are now and who you want to become, does it make you feel
good?
Oh,
yeah, definitely. I've changed, you know. I've changed for the better. I think I've become the person I've always supposed to be. and there's much more there.
There's much more to come.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's rewind a little bit. Let's say you walk into a local cafe and you see a 21-year-old soul walking in. Do you go and talk to him?
Oh, 100%.
What do you say?
100%. What do I say to him? I just try and, I try and speak to him on his level, but try and plant some seeds.
Would you have listened?
I think he might have done. Depends how you kind of plant them seeds. See, if I was to speak to somebody like a person like me when he was 21 year old, and I was very kind of authoritative way, and I was kind of like, oh well, you got to do this. It wouldn't have worked. You got to get to their level, man. They've got to give you. I've got to allow them for them to let me come in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And trust. You know what I mean? And maybe chat to them the way they talk, and kind connect with them.
Yeah.
And then plant some seeds.
Do you feel like you're a big product of your environment?
Am I big product?
Like the people you surround yourself with, have they influenced your life in every? If you look back and think, oh, when I was 21, I was doing this.
Oh, definitely. You find your tribe, didn't you? You find your tribe wherever you are. You find a tribe, and you go with.
Do you say you go looking for it, or do you say that you fall into it? How do you feel about that?
I think sometimes it just falls into you. It falls into your lap.
And you think it's happening for a reason, or do you feel like, well, how do you? Because obviously now your tribe is very different to what it was like then. You feel like that's obviously a big influence in the person you are now. So what would you say to the listeners if they've got a tribe that might be leading them astray or down a bad way? How would you recommend they maybe
stand alone, man? You know what I mean? Yeah.
So you stood alone for a while, did you?
Yeah, definitely. I had to, man.
And how does it feel?
Feels amazing. Cut the ties, man. People that are, I try and stay around away from negative people, man. Because it jumps. Negativity jumps, man. I've still got friends that I go and see in London that are kind of still very negative minded, but I don't stay there for long.
No.
I say hello, I'm not rude. Yeah, what's going on? You good? Yeah, I'm good. But once it starts, I just think, you know what, I'm gone. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, man.
I think that's one of the main things that holds a lot of people back, because they aren't willing to take that step or willing to step away from these people, almost out of fear as well. And
yeah,
they feel
peer
like
pressure. A lot of it, if they step away, they're fearful that they can't be,
And sometimes it's the person closest to that person as well, like their other half, or their parents, or their best friend, and it makes a massive impact on your life. If you're trying to go out and do something, and someone's always constantly trying to bring you back down to their level, just because they're afraid that you're going to leave them where they are.
Definitely, yeah.
So is there something you would do to recommend to cut the tie, even if they are someone really close?
Listen, if you're not good in yourself, you can't be good for others, can you? Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, at the end of the day, if you're around people that are very negative and that, change your people, man. So
you go through obviously the 12-step process.
Yeah.
Any other books or self-development you'd recommend?
I've just loads. It's, Eckhart Tolle. I read what I can read, man. I'm into just kind of like self-discovery, man. Self-development. Not just addiction, just anything, everything, man.
Exercise?
I go to the gym quite a lot. I try to. I think exercise is an amazing natural adult. It can depends what some people can get obsessive for some people. I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I enjoy going to the gym. Sometimes I don't enjoy going to the gym.
How often do you try to go?
I try and go 4 or 5 times a week. I think this week I'm been 3 times. I'm going to go tonight. I think.
So all of your students that you're supervisor of, or what you want to call it, do you say to them you should go to exercise or not? Is it part of the program for you?
No, not really. It's not a part. I say to them it's about self-care. What is self-care? If you're 18, 19, 20 stone, then you need to kind of show yourself some love, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Start. Little steps.
That natural endorphin release, isn't that what they need? Do you reckon?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because obviously they're looking for highs and things, and exercise can kind of give them that. So you'd say to them, you should go do that.
I will say, if they, some people I know a lot of friends that have kind of gone into exercise and then become obsession and then made everything's got to be a balance. This is where it goes wrong.
And how do you get that balance?
Well, this is it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is it. How do we get that balance? I think if anything you're doing becomes everything, and you're missing doing other stuff, like if you was to go to the gym every day of the week, but you weren't taking care of your household, you weren't tidying up your flat, you weren't taking care of yourself,
looking after your relationships,
because it's going to take a toll, man.
And this happens way too frequently. We see it every single day.
Definitely. Especially in the gym industry. I mean, like, people eat, sleep and drink gym, and they forget that, there's people in their lives that...
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. And it's definitely, you have to almost go through a lot of pain to understand what's happening, and obviously self-development, self-awareness, and just generally getting to know yourself better, which I think is what we want this Be More brand to kind of represent to people, to get to know who they are better, so then they can give to more to others. Then all of a sudden we create like a community whereby people aren't wearing a mask, they're not living through an ego, they're able to be true to who they are and work towards like what they want to work towards, and attract into their life the energy they want to attract based on who they actually are. And then all of a sudden their relationships will thrive, everyone seems to be getting on a lot better, versus toxic environments and negativity.
Yeah, you see quite a lot of it, and yeah, it's quite sad sometimes, because sometimes I go to the gym and I see some people in there, and you can just tell, you know what I mean. It's like they're a slave to what they're doing, you know what I mean. They're just so kind of. But
they're not even aware.
No.
Because it's hiding something that's avoiding their life.
Definitely.
And they're so frequent.
Definitely.
And then, but other people will look at them and think, oh, they're in great shape, they must be so happy.
But they're really, really sad inside.
Yeah.
It's an inside job. It's always an inside job. What we've got outside, materialistically, physique, whatever, it's beautiful. You can get that. It's brilliant. I'm not saying don't get that. But if you're not happy inside, man...
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like, I've looked in the mirror before, completely happy with, shredded with the way I looked, like complete goals, but then I wasn't happy. So it just shows, like, you can work really hard towards one thing, but if you're out of balance, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you need to be looking after all of these things. Otherwise, like you said, if you're not in balance, you can excel at one thing, but if that isn't going to then satisfy other things as well, there's going to be a point where that's going to lead to binging, or it's going to lead to some kind of downward spiral.
Yeah.
And it's just, how do we then teach people to manage that and to be balanced? It's a difficult situation, isn't it?
Definitely.
But I think that's something that, as a life coach, you're going to be faced with all the time, because you're going to have people that are super successful in like work or whatever, or in a certain area, but then they're lacking in other areas. So then how do we then teach these people to get that balance? Well, it might be the other end of the spectrum, they're just completely struggling with addiction, but normally it's fueled by the same thing, which is they have to do that because it's hiding other things in their life that they need to crack on with.
All plasters, everything's a plaster. Everything's a plaster.
And it's all...
You've got to get to the core of you. We was born with love. That's how we are born. We're born with love. We're born with happiness. It's only until we start experiencing things in our life as kids. Do you know what I mean? As a little baby, when you see baby, they live in the moment. Animals live in the moment as well. You'd find that a lot of animals live in the moment. So when we start experiencing things, and then we start... certain experiences we have as a child, as kids, and what we did, and we try, they're not good experiences. We're always going to try and plaster them and try and avoid them, and do you know what I mean?
So for you, it's about being present.
Definitely, you've got to be in the moment, man. It's hard though. It's not easy.
Hard. It's so hard.
It's, some people like to live in the past. I like to live in the past sometimes, like and I've got to bring myself back. Say, look, it's here, or in the future. Fear of the future. Oh, if I don't get to this point, if I don't do this by this time, or,
or even it could be positive, but it's still, if you're thinking, oh, in 10 years I'll be here, this is like a positive, dreamy place for you, it's still not good, because you need to be living in the now. Like, it's great, I think, to have goals and reverse engineer them and work towards them.
Yeah, definitely.
But you have to enjoy the process, otherwise you can get to this goal and you're still going to be unhappy.
Well, I mean, if you keep on looking to the future, looking about what you want to be in 10 years' time, you're going to forget what's happened. You're not looking at what's happened today. You lose today.
And life's too short to do that.
Yeah, definitely. You lose what's around you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So what is your message?
My message? What is my message? Just be kind, man. Just be kind to others, man.
And it's never too late?
Never too late. Never too late. There's people that I know that have got into recovery or changed their lives or whatever you want to call it at the age of 60, 70, doesn't matter.
Do you still feel young?
Oh, definitely, man. 100%. I've got like a young 21-year-old head in me. But a better 21-year-old head. As in, you know, more kind of wise. You know what I mean?
And if there's one bit of advice you could give to my audience, what would it be?
Don't give up before the miracle happens. Keep moving forward. You know, and
no matter how low you get, what would you say?
there's always an out. You know, there's always, you know, yeah, things change, man, definitely. You know what I mean? It's not over till it's over, man.
It's inspiring.
Cool.
Thanks a lot, mate.
No worries,
Where can
man.
people find you?
Thank you.
Where can people find you on like social media and stuff? Do you
So I'm on Instagram, Seek and Find, I think it's called.
Your Instagram's cool.
Yeah, I've not Facebook, Soul Bukhari, but I mean it's cool, man. Yeah, I'm on Instagram though. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And any business ventures for you in the coming future that people can keep an eye out on?
I'm gonna keep it to myself at the moment, but yeah,
Building a few things?
building up a few things.
Building
yeah.
an empire?
Trying to.
Love it.
Yeah, cool.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very
You
much.
as well, man. Thank
Cheers,
you.
guys.
Cool.
See you
thank
soon.
you.
Thanks for listening.